What if you enjoy a wonderful career as a sign language teacher, and then you leave that career and become an airline employee traveling the world, indulging your passion for photography, and then you move all the way across the country and start a whole new career as an author of coffee table books showcasing the beautiful state of Oregon? Well, welcome to Boss Up Goddess, because I am Elizabeth Ann Atkins and I'm going to introduce you to Barb Tricarico. She has done all of the above with gusto. She is a dynamic, amazing, creative person who's making a positive contribution to the world. And she's here tonight to share her story and to encourage all of us to follow our passion, reinvent ourselves, and live life to the fullest. Welcome, Barb.
Thank you for having me. I'm flattered to be here.
You're welcome. I'm just amazed, and your books are absolutely spectacular. They're so beautiful. Can you hold some of them up, please?
Thank you. Yes. Well, I started out with this one. This was a joint effort with some of my buddies from the Virginia Consortium of Quilters. And we did a book on quilting, historic
I
quilts in
love that.
Virginia,
And it's 1607 to 1899, right? And the quilts all,
1899.
I love
Histor-
that historic aspect of quilts.
uh, a lot of cool stories in there. Yeah. And that was a
Hmm.
group effort. So I
Hmm.
started with that and did the photography for that book. And then, like you said, we moved cross country from the DC area to Oregon, little town of
Hmm.
Oregon. And I fell in love with Ashland, absolutely fell in love.
Oh,
And
uh-huh.
Schiffer Publishing, Pete Schiffer said, well, if you're interested, you can do some more books for us. And I was able to do this
Ooh,
lovely book of Ashland,
wow.
Oregon with 35 of my favorite friends, my photography buddies. I enlisted all of them to give me your photos, and they did. And it turned out really well. It's a hot seller here in Ashland.
Yeah, yeah. As a coffee table book, it's just spectacular to look at. I have one of them. My sister gave me one for Christmas, and I just love the pictures are so lush and colorful, and a celebration of that region is which is just gorgeous. I mean, you can't even comprehend the scope of beauty out there. So
Yeah.
it's amazing. So what's it like to photograph these images of nature? Like, what is
Oh,
that?
well, I started out taking a couple classes because my photography, my landscape skills were kind of rusty. So I took classes from Sean Bagshaw and David Winston. I have, lots of photography friends here. And we would just go out shooting. And you just can't imagine with the fog rolling in some days, other days it's beautiful, sunny. You've got the mountains. I wake up, I'm never bored. I look out my window and think, how did I get here? It's so
Uh-huh.
beautiful here. You've
Yes,
been,
it is.
you know.
Oh, I have. I mean, I've been to the coast, the ocean. I've been in the mountains. I've been in the valleys. I mean, it's just I've seen rainbows just pop up. The
Yeah,
scope of different terrains is just mind-blowing,
it
and
is.
the feeling of Mother Nature's majesty is so relaxing.
That's
So,
exactly how I feel. We just fell in love. My husband and I fell in love when we got off the plane. We didn't know what we were looking at. A friend suggested we audition Ashland as one of our possibilities, and we got a real estate agent the next day. We fell in love with it.
oh, wow, that's awesome. So you moved from Virginia, the Virginia area, to Ashland, Oregon, and then you started doing these books, and one of your books has 50 different photographers in it.
Well, I started out with 35 and then slowly, that was the first book. And then this one is called Ashland, Oregon Day Trips. And
Oh,
it's everything within
beautiful.
2 hours of Ashland. So Ashland's a tourist destination because of the Oregon Shakespeare Festival and Film
Yes.
Festival. We have incredible chocolate festivals. We have all kinds of fun things. And
Uh-huh.
the beauty is you can go within 2 hours. This is Crater Lake. This is the pinnacles of Crater Lake.
Been
This is a
there.
shot by David Winston. I'm not doing very well showing these. You'll have to
So,
look at the book to get them.
oh,
But here's
Crater
the back
Lake.
cover, Crater Lake. Yeah, isn't that
Oh,
gorgeous?
that's Crater Lake.
Yeah.
So to anybody who's never been to Crater Lake, first you have to navigate these roads that are super scary up the mountain. And they're like 2-lane roads on this curve with no rail. And it's just
Well,
terrifying. And then you get up there and the lake, was it actually formed by a crater hitting the
yes,
earth?
it was oh gosh, I should know all this. Yeah, it imploded. It's actually a caldera. It's not really a crater, it's a
Oh,
caldera
okay.
with a
But the
volcano on it.
color of the water is this spectacular blue and it's up there so pristine. Oh my gosh, you have to
It's
see
the
it to
most
believe it.
beautiful blue. It's just pristine, and it doesn't. No water comes in, no water comes out, other than snow. Rain
Hmm.
and snow.
Hmm.
So it's just pristine, just
Oh my
beautiful.
gosh. Yeah. When you really groove on the beauty of Mother Nature, it's just mind blowing.
Oh
And it
yeah,
really takes you away from all the stress that we're dealing with today and the
yes,
pandemic and all the other stuff, you know?
yes, yes. I
That's why
agree with you.
opening the pages of your books are like just this escape or you know? So
You
can you
know what
hold
I?
up your mini ones? They're so
Oh yeah,
cute.
let me show you this one first. This is the last big coffee table book I did on Oregon.
Uh-huh.
And then an offshoot of this book is we decided to do 6 mini books.
Ooh, 6 mini
And there's
books.
actually more photos in these books than there are in the coffee table book. So you're getting really a lot more for your money with these. And this is where the 50 photographers came in, because there are a couple books, for instance, the Willamette Valley book. I just didn't have that many photos. And bless his heart, one of the guys that lives there just poured photos into my mailbox every day. And there are quite a few of his photos.
Is
So
that a pink tractor?
that's a real tractor, and it's
Is it
pink.
pink?
It's pink, and that's at the Wooden Shoe Tulip Festival, which should be opening in the next week or so.
Oh,
And they
okay.
actually have that on display. It's a great photo prop.
Okay. I expect Barbie to pop up somewhere because, I
I
had
know,
Barbie's
yeah.
pink Corvette when I was little. How fun. Okay, so listen, this is a visual art that you're doing, but your previous career was also visual because you were doing sign language. Can you talk about what that was like? Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was
How
an
you,
interpreter for probably 25 years. My background is I have a degree in English. And then I went to Gallaudet University and got a master's degree in deaf education. So I taught
wow.
English to deaf students at the
Oh,
Model Secondary School for the Deaf, which is on the Gallaudet campus. And I did
oh,
that for several years. And then when my kids were born, it was quite a commute from where I lived in Virginia. That was before the metro. And I just decided to stay home and raise my children. Um, and so I never really went back. I taught a couple years high school. I taught sign language in high school. But other than that, I never went back to teaching the deaf. And I really miss that. I love that. I love those years of my life.
hmm.
Um, but a portable occupation for me was to become a sign language interpreter.
Wow.
I got certified by the state of Virginia. I was in the classrooms. I taught at the community college, Northern Virginia Community College, for many, many years, like 20 some years. Um, it was just great. I loved it. I was with deaf people all the time. And, it was just really a wonderful career to have.
Mm. How do you keep up? Because when I see a program where there's a sign language interpreter working, it's like so fast. And how do you keep up with what people are saying?
You just do it. You're a few seconds behind, and you've got to kind of memorize, you've got to kind of store that information in your head. You're
Uh-huh.
always behind. You're always a little
Oh,
behind. And I am not a great ASL interpreter, American Sign Language. I tended to do more English, sign English. So I will tell you that right now. But the ones you see on TV are actually recomposing it from English into American Sign Language, which has different word order. It's not English word order at all.
oh,
So you
wow.
might sign, let's see, finish you eat. It sounds like saying bad English, finish you eat, but it really means have you finished eating?
Oh,
So it's almost like a French word order. You'd
oh,
say
uh-huh.
parlez-vous français. In
Mm-hmm.
English, it says speak you French, which is bad
Uh-huh.
English, but it's perfectly good French.
Right. Oh, that's
Um,
fascinating. Oh my
it's a
gosh. So
fascinating
then,
language.
Mhm. And then, Barb, you traveled the world with an airline and you were able to indulge your hobby for photography, right?
I did. I did. I took advantage of it. Um, I was working part-time as an interpreter, and a friend called one day and said, "Hey, they're hiring. Why don't you apply? You'd be a great customer service rep." I
Mhm.
thought, well, why? She said, "Oh, the travel is wonderful." So I did. I got hired. I did. I wrote tickets. I worked customer service. I helped in those long, long lines that went down the hallway in the airport. I was helping one at a time, helping all those passengers. I
Mhm.
loved it. And the
Oh.
beauty was I could take my days off. Sometimes I had 3 days off in a row, and then I trade with other friends. So I'd have 5 days off. And I'd grab a buddy and we'd travel. We'd go to Vietnam. We went to China. Dubai. I went to Dubai on a whim just because
Mhm.
we could.
Wow. And this was after your kids were grown, right?
Yeah, they were in high school and it was a good time for me. And it was part
Mhm.
time. It was part time.
Mhm.
So I could
Mhm.
interpret and I could also work at the airport, which I love. I love both careers. I was very fortunate.
That's
Yeah. And I always carried a
amazing. So,
camera. I always had a camera with me.
uh-huh. Okay. So then you move to Oregon and then you start photographing and collecting photos from your photographer friends. So it's like
Right.
sort of all evolved into this wonderful new endeavor. So who are the people who mostly buy your books, Barb?
I would say tourists, but a lot of locals buy my book. I
Mm-hmm.
am always amazed when someone comes up to me and says, "I have your books," and they're
Uh-huh.
local, you know.
Uh-huh.
So they enjoy it just as much, and they've got stories to tell me. They'll say, "Oh, that photo you got about the high school and the graffiti, whatever, and it's a beautiful mural.
Mm-hmm.
My son went to school with the guy that." There's always a story. So I love
Oh.
that part of it. And then, of
Mm-hmm.
course, the tourists that come to town, I mean, they're only here for, maybe 4 days or 5 days, but they want to bring it home with them. So
Mm-hmm.
they'll buy the book and they hold on to it because it's got memories for them of what they saw while they were here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So how do you, when you're out taking pictures, how do you know what's the perfect shot?
Oh, I don't know if anyone ever knows that. Sometimes, really, I think sometimes it's just luck. Sometimes, if the gods all come together and, the cloud parts and and
Uh-huh.
you get that beautiful light. It's all about light, really. Usually early morning, late afternoon are your best shots because the
Mm-hmm.
light just works with you. Midday, forget it. You get a lot of shadows. But sometimes you're just lucky. It's a foggy day. I took a photo. I think it's in one of the books. We were just driving with a friend and I, and there was a boat in the lake. I think Lake Selmac, and we both she put on the brakes and I just grabbed my camera. We ran out and there's this beautiful misty fog with this fishing boat. And we were like, click, 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 click.
Oh,
That was the middle
wow.
of the day, but it was just perfect.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So clearly you love what you do. And I'm in the Ashland Chamber of Commerce with you, and everybody just loves your books and what you do. It's just wonderful to see the reception of how you're celebrated in the community for what you do. And holiday time, people buy the books to support you. And that's really amazing. So, Barb, I think you're super inspiring because you show that you can follow your passion and make a positive impact, and it will be well received and celebrated. What's your message to anybody out there, especially somebody who has already had a full career and wants to do something entirely different? What's your message about finding the courage to do that?
You can't just sit home in a recliner all day long. You have to get out and do things. And I've never been one to sit around. My friends who are watching all know that. And I think I'm kind of a social person. And I think for me, a lot of it was the friendships that I made with these photographers, whether it was
Mm,
from someone I was taking a class from,
mhm,
you're always learning, or from my photo buddies, we'd go on field trips. And I was honestly too young to retire. I was 60 something, but I was still
mhm.
too young. I didn't ever feel like, I still don't feel like I'm retired. And I'm in my 70s now. So,
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
I mean, I plan to go forever. You know, you can't just sit
Oh,
around. You need to get out and follow that passion. I don't care what it is, whether it's ballroom dancing or, photography or pickleball or whatever. Do it.
uh-huh.
Get out there and do it. And don't
I
think, oh, I'm too
love it.
old to do that. You can't say that.
No. Oh, I love that so much. That's awesome. It's your joie de vivre. That's awesome. What about someone who maybe feels they can't leave their career or they can't, I don't know, people make all kinds of excuses of I
Oh,
can't or what will people think or what's your
right.
message?
Well, and the beauty here in Ashland, we have a very, very big art community, as you probably know.
Hmm.
And I have friends who do stained glass and they do pottery and they work full time. They do it. There's no
Oh,
reason why you can't pursue something you have a passion about.
right.
Pick up that camera, get out there, whether
Yes,
you're just
yes,
taking
yes.
flowers in your backyard. A lot of
Oh,
people are gardeners. I have a
mhm.
friend who does beautiful photos of her flowers in her garden. That's become
Mm,
her specialty.
that's
She's got many
awesome.
photos in my book.
Oh, okay, okay. So do you have a next thing? Because you've had so many. Do you have a next?
One of my girlfriends, I told her, I said, well, she's like, I thought you were done. We were going to go travel together. I'm like, well, so
Oh,
I'm
that's fun.
thinking I got a couple things on the fire with my publisher, with Schiffer Publishing. They've been very kind to
Oh,
me and encouraging me to do more. And I'm thinking
okay.
maybe a mini book on Ashland.
Oh, about the whole
Just
city.
something little, one of the small books.
Uh-huh.
We'll see. I don't have a
Oh,
contract. I don't have anything yet. It's the wheels are churning because they're always
uh-huh.
churning.
So the city of Ashland, for anybody out there who's watching and has never been there, it's in Oregon. It's 25 miles north of the California border, and it's where the Shakespeare Festival is. So I went there with my sister and my family there many years ago, and it was just delightful. But when you're in this city, how many people live there, Barb? Do you know?
I think I want to say 20,000. And a lot of them are
Okay.
college students. We have a nice college here, about
Oh.
7,000 students.
Oh, okay. So it's almost like being Alice in Wonderland when you're there because like every step and every shop and every restaurant, there's like this extravaganza of experiences. Like it's really wild. Like, like you go in this restaurant and the decor is just so creative, or you go in the food co-op, or you walk down the street. I remember we went into there's the Pelendaba lavender shop.
Yes. Oh,
And I
yes.
mean, a lavender shop, really? I mean, it's just beautiful. So you have such a rich tapestry, Barb, to work with
Yes,
there.
I do.
How fun is that? Oh my gosh.
I
So
really, really do. And the
yeah.
restaurants, we haven't even talked about the restaurants here. Oh my God. The restaurants are to die for. And
Uh-huh.
we've got wineries. Oh, there's a ton of wineries. Chocolate. We have people that make chocolate. That's all they do is make chocolate, and it's delicious. Branson chocolate.
Wow.
Don't
Wow.
miss it.
Oh my goodness. Wow. So do you live in the city or do you live in like a rural?
We fell in love with this house. We wanted to downsize, and we ended up buying a house much bigger than we needed. But the
Uh-oh.
view is a killer view. We have a view
Oh.
of the entire valley. We see Grizzly Peak, which is our famous mountain up here. I think there used to be grizzly bears at one time. We don't have them anymore. But I wish I could show you. It's just beautiful here. So we are kind of nestled in the Siskiyou Mountains. The
Okay.
Cascades are on the other side of the interstate, and we're on
Mm-hmm.
the Siskiyou side with
Mm.
all the pine trees. Just
Mm-hmm.
beautiful up here.
Oh, I love it.
Uh,
So has the pandemic changed anything for you as a photographer and the author of these? You've
oh,
got 9
well,
books so far.
hasn't it changed everything? I mean, I really have not picked up a camera very much. I went out yesterday. I took a 7-mile hike, and I could breathe again. I felt so good hiking with a
Mm,
couple of friends because I was photographing again. But during the pandemic, I didn't go anywhere. I pretty much stayed
mm,
in the house.
mhm.
So yeah, it did affect me. Um, my books were wrapping up. In fact, they have wrapped up. I was just waiting for them to come out. So I was kind of bored.
Oh, do you photograph your family too?
Oh, yes. Can I show you real quick?
Oh, sure.
I just happen to have, my kids will die if they see this, but I
Oh,
set this up
that's,
on a tripod when they were all out. Those are my
oh,
grandkids and my
that's,
two sons and my
wow.
husband.
That's
Isn't that great?
beautiful.
Yeah,
Yes, all
I
in
do
red.
photograph.
And
I
by the
love
way,
photograph.
Barb and I did not plan to both wear the same color shirt today,
I know.
so we're just on the same frequency, I guess.
We
But
are.
so that was beautiful. That was your family and every 3 generations, it looks like.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
But
that's
I do
beautiful.
like taking photos of people. That's probably my favorite. I'm not as good at landscapes as I am people.
Hmm.
I have a little photo studio. I'm going to get your sister in here and take her headshot soon. And
Oh,
I
wow.
love, I love people. I love portraits. Yeah.
Mm, that's awesome. I need some pictures, but I'm a little far away for.
We'll have to make a visit and I'll take your picture.
Well, believe me, after the pandemic, that's my first stop. I'm definitely going to come out and visit my sister. So, wow. And so, do you do other things with your photographs? Like some people make calendars or some people make, other types of things.
I've done calendars, I've done some note cards. I haven't sold them. But one of our local wine shops, Platt Anderson, just invited me to put up a little display. And I took some photos of birds in Africa. I just love these colorful birds in Africa. And I had my long lens with me, so I was able to get them real close. And I just put a display up just last week. And it's now at this wine tasting shop. So it's kind of fun to have some of
Wow.
my own work up. I rarely do that, but
Uh-huh.
it's been kind of satisfying to see some of my own things up.
Oh, wow. Now, back in the day, you'd have your dark room and you'd have to process the film and all that. What do you do now?
Well, I did do darkroom work. I had
Oh,
my
you
own
do?
darkroom. I
Uh-huh.
did, but thank God for digital photography because now it's all done. I've got two monitors. I use a program called Lightroom.
Mm-hmm.
I could have done these books without Lightroom. It's just a phenomenal program for photographers, and of
Mm-hmm.
course, a little Photoshop. But you do it all electronically now. It's all done on the computer. You can tweak it, in about 2 seconds, you can tweak a photo and make it look nice, or you can spend hours, as we sometimes do, and make it
Uh-huh.
look nice.
Yes. Uh-huh. That's really fun when you do all the adjustments.
Yeah.
So is your publisher local, Schiffer Publishing,
No,
or
Sugar
are they in New
Publishing
York?
is out of at Glen, Pennsylvania, which is in the Amish country. Uh,
Oh,
they have an incredible, huge book barn, they call it. It's probably as big as a football field.
a
And
book
that's where
barn.
the book barn, and they store all their books. Their next door neighbors are Amish, and they have push mowers. No electricity. I mean, it's the real deal. Um,
Wow.
and they publish thousands of books.
Mhm.
A lot of niche books on things like thimbles and military toys, and I can't
Mm.
even tell you half of the things. Art,
Mhm.
um, just beautiful. A lot of quilt books.
Mhm.
Um, they do quite a number of books every year. They're cranking out new books.
Mm. So now that we all have a camera in our hands pretty much all day, do you ever take pictures on your iPhone and use them or on your cell phone and use those as well,
You
or is the
can't
quality
you
good
can't get
enough?
this. No, it's not yet. I think it's going to be there soon, but for book publishing anyway, they just don't take cell phone photos. The resolution just isn't
Oh.
high enough. You really can't get that depth of color in a book. Although
Mhm.
I actually won in my photography club. I won some award on a photo I took with my phone. So,
Oh
you
my
know, for,
goodness.
yeah, and people were
What?
like, "You took that with your iPhone?"
Oh, I
But
love
yeah,
it.
it's great for, especially for screens, when you're on your computer showing to friends, and you can print things for yourself. I mean,
Mhm.
they're getting better and better. But for now, I was told when I did these books, don't really take any iPhone photography yet or digital.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was
that's
fun.
fun. It's like such a wonderful, fun urgency when you see something and you're like, I must take a picture, you know?
Oh,
And we have that luxury now. It's like instant. It's really awesome. I can't even imagine
I
what
am
you
guilty.
do. Hmm?
I am so guilty. And it's so lightweight. It's not carrying that big 200 millimeter lens or whatever with you. It's right in
Uh-huh.
your pocket.
Yes, yes. So Barb, you know the show is called Boss Up Goddess. What does that mean to you?
Oh, I love it. I've watched so many of your videos. I adore you and I adore
Thank you.
people that you feature. And it is a way to empower women. I think you mainly have women. Is that right? Yeah, goddess
Yes.
women.
Yes, all
I
women.
just think we need that. I think even in this day and age, I mean, I could tell you stories, your mom could too, about when we were growing up.
Yes.
Things are evolving, but they're not there yet. And if anything, I think women need to be empowered. And I think you're doing a
Yes.
great job of that. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Barb. Thank you. I think having you here tonight shows that it's never too late because you're contemplating career number 4.
Don't tell my husband.
And the things you've done are so different from each other. And it just is really an amazing example that the sky is the limit, literally, because you worked for an airline. But the sky is the limit just to go for it and follow, make a career out of the hobby that you love.
Right.
And I mean, I'm telling you, the way people celebrate your work and talk about it is just so beautiful to watch.
Oh,
So that's a testament to the power of following that passion, follow your bliss, as they say, Joseph Campbell says. um, and is there anything else you'd like to say to our viewers about just really going for the gusto and just living your best life?
again, I just think you need to do it. You can see a telescope in the back. We
Yes,
decided when we
I
moved
love
here,
that so
we
much.
were going to get into astronomy. So, we were out looking at the stars all night, taking photos sometimes. I mean, it was so much fun. And then we went into some other kind of hobby. My husband does model railroading. He loves model railroading. And
Wow.
and I can actually take photos of some of his trains. They look real, when you're doing these
Hmm.
little tiny things.
Hmm.
He followed his passion too. And I think you need to do that, especially when you retire. Like I said, don't just sit in that recliner. Get up, get out, make friends, which I've done. Ashland has been so good to me. I've made so many photography friends and
Mm.
painting friends. Yeah, it,
And you said
you
you're in
just
a
have to try.
yes, just do it. And you said you're in a photography club. What does that mean?
I'm actually president because no one
Oh,
else wanted it.
oh, no one else wanted
I've
it.
been doing that for a few years. I keep saying, doesn't anyone want to be president? So it's a great club. We used to, of course, meet in person. We haven't in the last year, but we have competition where we will enter 4 images. So there may be 80 images that night, and we see them on the big screen. And we have a little pad that we can vote. We
Uh-huh.
vote electronically, and then the winner is shown. And then we break for coffee and dessert, and then we have a print competition. So I don't do it so much, but some of the people are so good at printing. They'll make a large print that it reminds me of my books because they're just so beautifully printed. You don't
Mm-hmm.
get that so much on the screen, but yeah, it's just a lot of fun. And then we go on field trips.
Oh,
We go
wow.
all over, and
Oh,
have fun. We'll spend the night somewhere and get up in the crack of dawn and start taking pictures.
oh, that's awesome. How fun is that with your
You learn a
friends?
lot from each other. You really
Mm-hmm.
do.
That's awesome. Well, Barb, I want to thank you for joining me here tonight because you are such an inspiration. And I know that anybody who's watching right now just feels emboldened to follow their passion as well. So,
Thank you.
not only in the career, but also in moving to a whole nother part of the country. I just love that so much. So, thank you very much for being my guest this
Thank you so
evening.
much, Elizabeth.
You're welcome. And thank you, all of you, for joining me here tonight on Boss Up Goddess, where you got to meet photographer and author Barb Tricarico, who shared her wisdom to help us all live bigger, better, and bolder. I'm Elizabeth Ann Atkins. Please do like, share, subscribe, and comment, and click the notification bell so you'll know every time I go live or upload a new video. And meanwhile, remember, boss up, goddess. You have the power.